What's up? It's Ben from WODprep, and in this video, we're going to talk about how to get better at burpees, specifically for CrossFit. So if you want to get better at burpees so that you're better at your WODs or your workouts or the open, this is the video for you. Whether you're a beginner or maybe even an advanced athlete, hopefully we're going to cover some really important things in this video that's going to make you better at burpees. We're going to talk about how to scale burpees if you're a beginner and can't quite do a full one. We'll talk about some good scaling options. And then last, I'll reveal a few common mistakes that people make in their burpees. And with all of those things considered, this is going to be a great video to help you get better at burpees. If you want to improve your performance as an athlete, I have a free downloadable ebook I'd love to send you. If you just go to wodprep.com/ebook, all one lowercase word, you enter your name and email, and I will send you a little book that I wrote about how to become an all Rx'd athlete and basically improve your performance. It's a cool book that we put together, and it's yours totally free if you just go to wodprep.com/ebook. And one final thing before we get into the meat and potatoes of this video, if you want to get really good at burpees, we actually have a course called the Burpee Blueprint course, and that is a course where one of my coaches teaches, he is a burpee ninja. He teaches you all the intricacies of burpee box jump overs, bar facing burpees, normal burpees, slow burpees, fast burpees, pacing burpees. It's the deep dive into burpees. It's called Burpee Blueprint, and you can get it by going to wodprep.com/burpees, and you can get access to it. It's one of our most affordable courses. So with that, let's dig into making you better at burpees. The first thing that I want to talk about is the technique for burpees. So a technique video wouldn't be complete without talking about the standards for a burpee. So a burpee, in the sport of CrossFit at least, is you need to touch your chest to the ground, and then you have to leave the ground. That's why normally in a competition you're going to be doing a burpee over something because it's a little easier to judge, or you'll have a target that you need to hit above you. But for the sake of just a standard burpee, I have to get my chest to the ground. So it's chest to the ground. Once my chest touches, then I have to get back up and I have to jump. And normally I like to teach jump and clap overhead, because that, when we're doing a burpee to a target, let's say I was doing a burpee to this set of rings right here, actually. When I do my burpee, if I'm not used to actually lifting my arms above my head, if I do burpees like this, like Instagram influencers I know, if I do burpees like this, that's not really going to help us when I actually have to jump up and touch something. Okay, so burpees to target is something that we do. So we practice chest to deck and then a full jump off the ground, clap overhead. That's going to help you get better at burpees all around. And then of course, when you're doing burpees over a box or over a bar, there's no clap required. The jump is required because that's how you're going to get up and over whatever that apparatus is. So those are the standards of the burpee. Now, when it comes to technique, you'll see what I did. There's a few different versions of the burpee that we suggest depending on the pace and your ability as an athlete. So first is the jump down, jump up. So that's simply, I start standing, I jump my feet back, touch my chest, and then I jump up with both feet. So my feet are going back in one fluid motion, one jump, and then my feet come back up and replace my hands for the second jump. You'll notice I put my hands down here, shoulder width apart, feet go back, and then when I come up, my feet are almost replacing my hands. They're not quite that far forward, but they're almost to where my hands were. I land in like a good squatting position, and then I'm up. We'll talk about, in the mistake section of the video, I'll talk about a few ways people mess that up. But that is the simple jump down, jump up burpee, and it is the fastest way to do it. If I did if you told me, Ben, I want you to do 20 burpees as fast as possible, that is the technique that I'm going to use, because when I go jump down, jump up, it's really fast. I'm literally jumping both segments of the burpee, and that is the fastest way to do it. However, just from doing those like two that I just did, it makes you really out of breath. So that is not the technique you should use all the time. If you have a small amount of reps or you need to go really fast on a set of burpees, then jumping up and jumping down is the fastest way to do it. However, for an overwhelming majority of workouts where there are burpees mixed with other stuff, or high volume burpees where you have to do 50 burpees in one set, then we really recommend the jump down, step up method. So that is simply when I'm getting to the ground, I'm letting gravity do the work. I'm getting down to the ground as fast as possible like this. And then when I get up, my goal is I push up a little bit, I step forward with whichever leg I want to, step up with the trailing leg and jump or jump over the apparatus. That is a very efficient way to pace your burpees, but still be quick. I'm not going slow to the ground. I go fast to the ground and then a little bit slower up. That step up burpee, again, you can use whichever leg you want. If I was jumping over a barbell, a lot of times I'll choose to do stepping up with the inside leg or the outside leg, depending on your preference. But normally for me, I just have a preference where I like to step up with my left leg. I don't know why. So when I'm doing these kinds of burpees, step up, jump down, step up, and that step up slows your up a little bit, but it's less jumpy. So you're not moving quite as fast. You're not going to burn out as fast. You're not going to exhaust yourself with that hip pop that happens in the jump down, jump up. So the jump down, step up is a great way to do burpees. It's not a scaled burpee, at least as far as I know. It's not a scaled burpee. It's allowed in almost every competition. And if you see a lot of very high level athletes, this is the technique that they use because it keeps their heart rate down, but it also keeps the speed up. And then the final technique for burpees, and this is something that I have used in competition when I'm really, really exhausted, this is the step down, step up. So this is maybe a scaled version. It's still technically RX. It's more of a scaled version because it's allowing you to step down and step up. So it looks something like this. So basically I kick back, but as I kick back, I put one leg back and then the second one as I hit the ground, and then I step up and jump. So it's here, step down, step up. So rather than jumping and splatting to the floor, I kind of control myself down by doing that back step. So I control myself down, hands on the ground, step, step, step. Okay, so that's the step down, step up burpee. Those are kind of like the three core techniques. Jump down, step up, and step down, step up. I guess technically you could do a step down, jump up, but I don't really see any benefit to that, so that's not one that we really suggest. Now let's move on to pacing. When it comes to pacing burpees, this is where most athletes make a critical error. And this is why I think a lot of people are probably watching this video, is they're like, Ben, I'm terrible at burpees. How come I always gas out with my burpees? It might not be a technique issue. If you're doing them like I just showed you, it might not be a technique issue, it's a pacing issue. For an overwhelming majority of athletes, let's say there's a workout that has, it's 5 rounds for time of something, something, and 20 burpees. The first couple rounds, you'll see people doing the jump down, jump up, and they'll go really fast on those 20 burpees. But by the time they get into rounds 3, 4, and 5, the meat of the workout, their burpees are really slow. So that's one of the most important keys with your burpees. And if you look at the highest performing athletes in the world, it doesn't matter if they're on their first burpee or their 500th burpee, they're usually about the same pace. A common quote that I use to talk about burpee pacing is, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. It's a Navy SEAL quote basically saying that when you go slow and smooth, that smoothness and that consistency makes you fast. If you try to go too fast and rush it, you end up being really slow. So slow is smooth, smooth is fast. I can't think of a better movement where that quote applies than to burpees. For you, what you need to think about is finding a burpee pace that you can sustain for as long as the workout needs. So in this 5-round example of whatever movements plus 20 burpees, that's going to wind up being 100 burpees. So I need to think about, if I'm doing 100 burpees, what would my pace be if I don't want to be really exhausted at the end of that? Because remember, we have other movements involved in this workout. Knowing what I know about my burpee pace, I'd probably go like this. Right? A little bit slower. But it's going to allow me to control my pace so that the first and 100th rep look about the same. And that's the key when it comes to burpees, is you need to pace at a level that doesn't burn yourself out. So for most people, when they come to me and they're like, Ben, I'm terrible at burpees, it's got to be a technique issue. No, it's because you pace like a child. And I don't mean to sound mean here, but you pace yourself in a way that doesn't allow you to do a lot of burpees. You pace yourself really fast in the beginning, which burns you out, and then by the end, you're looking like this. You're resting at the bottom, and then you're warming up, maybe stepping up like this, and you're exhausted because you didn't pace your early burpees properly. So go slower in the beginning usually, and allow yourself to maintain a steady burpee pace throughout the entire workout. And then only at the end of the workout should you maybe crank up the burpee pace. That's the only time I want to see you going fast, is when it's either a small set or it's at the end of a workout. Otherwise, you need to go a little bit slower, because that's going to help pace yourself, and it's going to allow you not to feel that burnout sensation on your burpees. So that's the key here, is find a pace that works for you. It could even, I generally don't suggest resting during a burpee, but it could be like, also pacing involves paying attention to when you breathe. You could take a breath on the ground. I don't really like that, but you can finish your burpee, back down, right? If we purposefully try to breathe and make sure that we maintain a slow enough pace to breathe and keep our pacing, that's going to help you feel better and fresher longer into burpee workouts. Okay, as promised, for all the burpee beginners or people who are looking to scale their burpees, here are a couple very simple, creative solutions to help you practice burpees and get the same stimulus, but maybe not do it all the way. So remember, a true burpee is chest to deck, so chest on the floor, and then jump up overhead. But what I find is, especially with beginners, it's that push-up, the getting the chest to the ground and getting back up, that can be really fatiguing and really hard. Most people can do this, okay? But for a lot of people, getting all the way to the ground and getting back up can be challenging. So there's a really, really great way to scale this down. And it's basically two different versions. The first version is basically an up-down. If you've ever played football, this is what they've called, put this box to the side, we'll use that in a second. But an up-down is simply, I get down to the ground, but rather than going all the way to the floor, I just get here. So I get to the plank position, and then I can finish the burpee. I get to the plank position, finish the burpee. So that's an up down. Rather than getting all the way chest to deck, you're just getting to that plank position. That's a great modified scaled version of the burpee. If you want to work on that push up a little bit, you could also do burpee to a box, or burpee to plates, or burpee to anything that's elevated, any sort of elevated surface. And all that looks like is this. So I'm ready to do my burpee. I come here to a box, I do my push up, hop up, and jump. Okay, so literally all it is, you can do different versions. You can step down, step up, but all we're doing is we're getting that kind of push-up pattern where my chest is hitting the box, but because this is an elevated surface, it's an elevated platform, it's a much easier, highly modified version of the burpee. If I wanted to make this easier, what could I do? What do you think? I could make the box higher. Now it's 30 inches, okay? And these are gonna be even easier burpees, okay? If I wanted to make this harder, what would I do? I would reduce the height, so I could make it 20 inches. I could stack plates. I could use some sort of pad. I can go from an inch of help all the way up to, I don't know, this much help. It doesn't really matter. It all depends on how tall you are. But this is an infinitely scalable version of a modified burpee. So I usually like to use a box. It's nice and stable. You could do it to a bench. That would be a little bit lower. There's a great way to help you or your athletes modify and scale the burpee and still get a great stimulus, still get the push-up pattern, still get the jump, still get everything, but maybe not go all the way to the ground. And to wrap up this video, we're gonna talk about a few very common mistakes that people make with their burpees. The first and most common one that I see is the strict burpee. So a lot of people wrongly assume that a burpee is a push-up. So people will do burpees like this. They get down to the ground, they do a strict, perfect push-up, and then they hop up and jump. That is technically a burpee, but that is a very strict burpee, and that's unnecessary for what we're trying to accomplish in the sport of fitness. A strict burpee like that will absolutely smoke your arms. You're gonna be way more tired in your arms rather than just getting down to the ground and getting up anyway, okay? If I do a strict push-up, you're wasting time, you're wasting a ton of energy, you're engaging your core more. Yes, it's a good workout, like strict burpees can be fantastic for just developing push-up strength, I guess, but that's not really what the burpee's trying to do. The burpee is trying to test our cardio engine. So doing a strict push-up in the middle of that doesn't really help. So I think it's unnecessary. That is a very common error that I see happen in gyms all around the world is people do that strict push-up because they think they need to do that. No, just splat. Just get down to the ground and get up. Don't make it strict because strict will make it much, much harder. Mistake number 2, this is one we talked about earlier. This actually might be the most common one. It's hard to say, is pacing. So we talked about pacing, but I want to reiterate it. A huge mistake that people make in their burpees is not necessarily doing a burpee wrong. It's doing a burpee too fast or not at a pace they can maintain. So it's up to you to figure out how fast your pace needs to be. But if you find yourself burning out really bad in burpee workouts, chances are you need to analyze your pace and be like, wait a minute, I was going way too fast in the beginning. Because a good paced burpee probably feels really slow in the beginning, but then it'll feel just right in the middle towards the end of the workout. If you think you're going too fast, you probably are. And then as we improve and as we practice our burpees, as we work on getting down and getting up off the floor with that nice smooth and slow movement pattern and keeping our pace consistent, then eventually that pace is going to slowly get faster and faster and faster and faster and faster. But it all comes down to first, you need to master that pace and try to make your first and last burpees look the same. That is going to help a lot, and that's going to fix that pacing mistake. And then the last thing, this is just another technique thing. Do you remember what I talked about earlier in the video about how my feet almost replace my hands? I'll show it to you one more time. So I'm going to do a jump down and a jump up. My feet basically land right where my hands are, okay, essentially every single time. What I notice a lot of people do, and it fatigues them extra and it just is an awkward position, is they'll do a burpee, jump down, and they jump up. And they jump up like this, where their toes are they're on their toes and they're way behind their hands. Even just hanging out in this position is exhausting. Like, this is painful. But people will do that and then they jump up. That is just an inefficient jumping pattern. You're bent all over, you can't breathe. It's bad. So I call this the toesy burpee. So it's basically doing burpees on your toes. You're jumping up like this and you're like staying on your toes. A lot of people have these knees cave in, or I don't know, they just look like a pooping dog. Don't do that. Don't have a toesy burpee. When I'm doing a burpee, I don't need to jump very high in the air, but I go down, I'm here, my feet land flat, and then I'd get on my toes and jump. That's gonna keep you balanced. It's gonna keep you controlled. It's gonna put you in better positions. You're gonna be able to breathe. Make sure you're aiming to essentially replace your hands with your feet on the way up from the burpee. That is going to help you be in a much more efficient position. So we covered a lot in this video. In the comments below, what is one thing you are going to change about your burpees? Is it something with the technique? Is it pacing? Something you learned in this video. Leave a comment below and let me know what one thing is you are going to change about your burpees. Or if you have any additional feedback or tips or suggestions for athletes trying to learn burpees, feel free to leave them in the comments and we will check them out. If you want to get that free training guide that's going to help you become a better athlete, go to WODprep.com/ebook. I'll also include the link below this video in the description and the top comment. If you want to get really good at burpees, maybe you like this video and you're like, man, I need to work on my burpees and I want to know all the intricate details about burpees over the box and over the bar and all that stuff, then go get Burpee Blueprint. It's our most affordable course. Just go to WODprep.com/burpees. I'll also link it in the description and in the top comment. Sometimes it's on sale, but even if it's not on sale, it's a very affordable, very awesome program that I think you're gonna like. And with that, I hope that you got better at burpees in this video, and I'll see you next week. Did you know that if you hit the subscribe button, you could win $10 billion? No, I'm just kidding. That's a complete lie. But I would really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button. Maybe even gave me a thumbs up, because that helps WODprep get more views on this channel. Thank you so much. Smash the subscribe button, thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video.